Today on the Topping Show, Los Angeles Mayor Bass is investigating why no one told her to go to Ghana right before the fire outbreak. Useless bureaucrats getting fired left and right and going viral on social media. Kentucky Fried Chicken is moving their headquarters from Kentucky to the great state of Texas. Nikola files for bankruptcy as another EV company bites the dust. A liberal girl is rooting for the cartels to beat Donald Trump and goes viral as well. A Denver City Council wants to use U.S. tax dollars to pay for illegals' lawyers. And Target is recalling some of their dinosaurs because they might burst into flames. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice a day. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's Meesy, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you could reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Also, having our first Q&A live stream is going to be tomorrow, Saturday, February 22nd at 6 p.m. Texas time, or some people call it Central. Lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Kentucky Fried Chicken. Well, it's a moving, been coming to the great old state, or some would argue the great old country of Texas. Colonel Sanders may very well need to get a good old cowboy hat and update the marketing material. Now, this comes to us thanks to CNN Business, which somehow, still in business. I mean, defying all odds, pretty sure they have 18 employees left, but to their credit, they're somehow still in business. Now, specifically, John Valinsky is a writer over there, is credited. He says, quote, KFC is leaving Kentucky. And there you can see the iconic Kentucky Fried Chicken bowl of chicken, Colonel Sanders' original recipe, which, ironically, he actually hated once he sold the company because they changed the recipe, apparently, and the quality went to hell. But nevertheless, it does say original recipe on the bucket itself. Now, they say, quote, KFC, the fast food chain formerly known as Kentucky Fried Chicken, is leaving the state where it began. The chicken chain's parent company, Yum Brands, which is headquartered in the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas, announced that KFC's corporate headquarters is leaving Kentucky for Texas, joining sister brands Pizza Hut's offices in the Dallas suburb of Plano. Which, yeah, if you wind back the clock enough, you also realize, oh yeah, PepsiCo and Frito-Lay also have headquarters or regional remote offices in that Plano area. And guess who used to own Yum Brands? Yeah, spoiler, PepsiCo, also known as PepsiCo Frito-Lay. So that is not a coincidence why there's so many of these big companies right next to each other. A lot of them still are connected, and in the past, even more of them were. Now they say, quote, it's a notable change for the 95-year-old company that got its start in a motel in a small Kentucky town. Thrusting the state's name into the most iconic chains is now over 30,000 restaurants in 150 countries. That is insane. I didn't realize that many. 30,000 Kentucky Fried Chicken locations. Now, granted, this is just anecdotal evidence. I have not seen one, or if you were to ask me, hey, Topping, where in DFW can you go to get KFC? I can't think of maybe I've seen it once. Maybe they don't have, ironically, maybe they don't have a lot in their own backyards to say, but yeah, I don't see many these days. I'm surprised, 30,000. Now they say, quote, the relocation is part of Yum Brands' plans to have just 2 headquarters for its restaurants, which also have offices in Irvine, California, for Taco Bell and Habit Burger, which, talk about a waste of money. Just the cost of the overhead and working in California, living in California. I mean, geez Louise, gas is like $7 per gallon over there. I mean, that metric alone drives me insane. Yeah, alone it's also inferior gas. It's actually less effective and to their standards, but nevertheless, yeah, why are you paying for the overhead of having Taco Bell headquartered in California? If I was a shareholder, I would be irate, be like, get it the hell out of California. You're spending not just corporate taxes, but all the employees have to pay more. I mean, it's just, and it's not like Silicon Valley with tech companies. They're like, oh yeah, we need to have all the best engineers, the big talent pool. It's California. It's Taco Bell. Don't get me wrong. They're doing some great innovative things, like having a cafe for the people who want Mountain Dew infused coffee or whatever. But yeah, there is no reason. And if I were to speculate, they're probably going to get out of California in the next 12, 24 months, like most businesses seem to be doing. Now, they say that, this is funny, of course, they have to have the corporate speak. They're going to move the Kentucky Fried Chicken offices to Plano to, quote, foster greater collaboration among the brands and employees, which technically true. Also, cost consolidation and optimization is more realistic. Now, they also say KFC isn't completely abandoning its birthplace. It has plans for a new, quote, first of its kind flagship restaurant, which will be built in Louisville, Kentucky. Which, let me scroll down here. Can't believe they don't have any iconic pictures of like the original locations. But, I mean, that seems like a waste of, I mean, usually flagship stores are right by the headquarters more often than not. It makes sense for maybe him to have that in Kentucky. I mean, it seems like lost marketing dollars. I'm not sure, or just dollars in general. Why not have like a KFC museum? Or maybe they do already. That at least would probably keep the locals happy. And again, they're not going to be overly excited jobs are leaving as well. But I mean, that might not be a bad idea. Now I say, quote, however, the news of the departure reportedly angered Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, who said in a statement he is, quote, disappointed by the decision, and he believes Colonel Sanders, the company's founder, would be too. Well, you also could have added incentive mechanisms. And again, this kind of gets into politics, but a lot of the reason behind businesses' locations and relocations is not just fiscal, but also political, which kind of comes together. I mean, Toyota of North America famously left the communist state known as California. What was it, 2015? For the great state of, or great country of Texas, specifically Plano, Texas, is a huge, beautiful new headquarters. One of the incentive mechanisms was no property tax for, I believe, 15 years, which is a big deal because Texas has greater property taxes than other states. That's a huge that's a huge incentive to bring the headquarters here. Also brought along about 5,000 additional jobs to the DFW area, which, of course, all those folks are bolstering the local economy and renting, buying houses, and going to restaurants and stores. There's a big ripple effect more often than not. So I wonder if he just didn't want to counter the offer, or if he said, hey, we'll give you some extra incentives. They also know that KFC's business has been struggling for years. The chain repeatedly reporting a 5% drop in same-store sales in the U.S. locations, while rivals like Popeyes, Wingstop, and Raising Cane's attract more diners, which, hey, what do those other companies have in common? Wingstop, Raising Cane's, headquartered in the great state of Texas. Coincidence? Perhaps. Perhaps not. Now, they also know that recently opened a new concept restaurant focusing on chicken tenders and sauces in hopes of incubating ideas to bring the chain to more profitability. They also know that approximately 100 Louisville-based KFC corporate employees will relocate to Texas over the next 6 months, plus another 90 remote-based workers will also move to the new combined headquarters. They also know that KFC joins a parade of companies relocating to CNN, they got their spin like we all do. They say KFC joins a parade of companies relocating to the Republican state of Texas, keep Texas red, because one of the biggest reasons companies keep moving here is, love them or hate them, Abbott is pretty good at attracting businesses and giving them incentive mechanisms. Companies coming here include oil giant Chevron, Elon's Tesla, SpaceX, as well as Hewlett-Packard, although that's a typo, CNN, fact check wrong. Hewlett-Packard is still located in California. It is a separate entity from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is located in Houston, Texas, from their corporate headquarters locations. Also, other big companies include CrowdStrike, Oracle. A lot of giant tech companies move out of California to Texas for the myriad of reasons, including we're awesome. So it is sad because, again, naturally some jobs will be let go. Some people won't choose to move, so they have to find gainful employment at a competitor or somewhere else. But again, good news to the great state. Oh, I guess not great news. I need to buy a house before I die. Prices keep going up and up and up. But great news overall for the economy in Texas because, again, more opportunities for everyone. And, yeah, pretty good. A little sad that they're moving the corporate headquarters, but I suspect they'll have not even a 1% impact on their sales. I'm guessing the average person really doesn't care if they relocated one way or the other. But let me know. Do you think there might be like a local boycott in Kentucky? As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news. Scam company Nikola files for bankruptcy yet again. This is perhaps the best example of a vaporware company since I believe the Nintendo Entertainment System and a couple other video game consoles had vaporware where they would sell you basically the instruction manual in a box for a video game, but there'd be no actual video game. Very similar concept with Nikola, with their POS founder, when Trevor started to found the company. I say that because it was all vaporware. Nikola, put the little picture of the screen, which, aesthetically speaking, it almost looks like Optimus Prime got punched in the face. It's a bad design, on top of the technology not working. Now, originally, the whole speculation of why Nikola was everyone says it's going to be $1 billion company. They claimed to have a very proprietary technology to manufacture and distribute hydrogen fuel. Because again, one of the biggest reasons that technology has been around for decades, One of my favorite books is called Driven. It's about BMW. That was written about 2000 era. They already had working hydrogen prototypes. The issue, the bottleneck of the adoption rate for hydrogen technology for automobiles, not only is customer preference, but it's the distribution and manufacture of the hydrogen. That's been the thing. Now, Nikola claimed they have a magical new process to they can manufacture it for a fraction of the cost. Which, again, if you could manufacture it for next to nothing, relatively speaking, and distribute it at an economical level, you would have, would have been one of the biggest impacts in the auto industry, perhaps in 100 years. However, a couple years in, it turned out to be all vaporware, didn't exist. Then they tried to pivot. They ousted the founder, and they tried to become an EV company. It also failed, obviously. So this is their second bankruptcy. Now, this is credited thanks to Akish, who's a writer at Reuters. They say, quote, Nikola goes bankrupt to sell assets in latest EV market turmoil, which, as much as I'm not a fan of EVs, I'm a guy where I will only have cars or SUVs or trucks with 3 pedals, also known as manual transmission. I am a gearhead. I love the experience of downshifting to a corner. That being said, this isn't because it's an EV company, it's a crap company. You had corruption from the beginning, then you had bad leadership, and they tried to become an EV company and they couldn't. Also, EV semi-trucks is a ludicrous idea that's not at all conceivably physically good idea. Because again, the more heavy the payload, the less range you have. The only use case there ever is for right now, again, my magical technology tomorrow, but the only use case for an EV semi-truck is where you have something that is very bulky but weighs basically nothing. So that way you don't have a big decrease in your towing capacity or your range. The only example of use case I can think of right now would be chips, like Frito-Lay products, where the bag, it's mostly air or technically nitrogen, or, you don't want it to go stale. So it's not technically air when you look inside a corn chip bag, but that's the only use case where I can think where it weighs basically nothing, but it takes out a lot of space when you're transporting it. To me, that use case makes sense. And lo and behold, Frito-Lay did get some contracts with Tesla for the semi-truck years ago. It's been kind of working out the kinks lately, but yeah, with this, I'm not surprised they're going bankrupt for good. Now, they say they are filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and would pursue sale of its assets, which, spoiler alert, they also don't have any great intellectual property. They claim they had a lot of hidden cool tech. Yeah, it turns out, no, not at all. They say its assets. What assets? It's electric vehicle manufacturer to stumble after grappling with tepid demand, rapid cash burn, and funding challenges. They say the development ends a challenging journey, which included several leadership changes, plummeting share values, and short seller allegations, which Hindenburg, which recently they were a very famous short seller. They're the first company that kind of brought to the surface where it's all bullshit. Pardon the French. The video where you thought you saw the Nikola, truck going down a hill, they actually towed it to the top of the hill and made it. It was a BS video. There's actually no powertrain. He's all smoke and mirrors. Now, so yeah, Hindenburg really brought to light this scam company, and that's when the shares really started to drop. Now, Nikola CEO Steve Gursky, which I believe he was brought in after the founder was ousted, was actually they were sued by the SEC for being a con artist. Now, Steve said, quote, like other companies in the electric vehicle industry, we have faced various market and macroeconomic factors that have impacted our ability to operate. Unfortunately, our very best efforts have not been enough to overcome these significant challenges. Also doesn't help your product is crap. They say that Elon Musk-led EV pioneer Tesla reported his first drop in annual sales in 2024 as high borrowing costs and alleged lineup crippled demand despite offers and incentives. That being said, BYD sales are up. Now, BYD is the largest EV manufacturer from China, or as Trump would say, China, and they're growing exponentially. So again, the adoption rate for EVs in the US is decreasing. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's the main factor why this company went belly up. They say the firm will continue to support operations for trucks in the field, all 3 of them, and some hydrogen fueling operations to the end of March. They say Phoenix, Arizona-based Nikola delivered the first vehicle in December 2021. A series of fire incidents involving its trucks in 2023 resulted in a recall of all its vehicles and raised safety concerns. They say that Nikola ramped up production of its hydrogen-powered trucks in 2024, but it lost hundreds of thousands of dollars with every vehicle it sold, as fleet operators were reluctant to invest in EV trucks amid high borrowing cost. Nice thing about a diesel truck, well, ones that aren't bastardized by the government, DEET, and all that crap they had to put in for emissions, an OG diesel engine will last over 1 million miles easy on a semi-truck. If you're an owner operator, or if you're a fleet manager, what's a better ROI? Yeah, the gold diesel trucks. And again, tech changes very quickly. Maybe tomorrow will be a magical battery technology that changes the game and weighs as much as a feather. But when making business, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, and you got to work with the technology you have today when making business decisions. Now, you also have Sarah Floss, head of legal and credit restructuring firm Debtwire, says, quote, just the struggles that they have faced plus increased competition, operating costs, and high costs for EV industry as a whole, I think it all came together. Yeah. Now, they say in terms of finances, the company, which had said its Coolidge, Arizona manufacturing facility could produce 2,400 trucks per year across 3 shifts, listed assets between $500 million and $1 billion, and estimated liabilities between $1 billion and $10 billion. Jeez Louise. That is an eyesore of a truck. I'm sorry I have that on the screen right now. Now, they see Nikola's cash and cash equivalents dropped sharply to $198.3 million by the end of September, compared to the near $500 million it had at the end of 2023. The company also says entering Chapter 11 with $47 million cash in hand, which, for that size and scale of company, that's basically nothing. Stock fell between $1 per share. They also referenced a 2020 article by Hindenburg, which is the short seller, where they first brought all the BS to light. So again, the EV industry is decreasing, but I don't think that's the reason why this specific company failed. But let me know, do you ever hear of Nikola before? It's also kind of weak that they, basically ripped off Tesla's name and just using the first name of the guy. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the cultural part of the podcast, you have a liberal girl rooting for the cartels over Trump, which, I guess I'm not too surprised. Though I am surprised she does not have short, pink, or blue hair. That is unusual. I'm not financial advice, but I can't help but think big hair dye is making bank past 4 or 5 years. I mean, the amount of products I see just flying off the shelves as everyone, you can't go to a single feminist rally or DNC convention without seeing half of them being blue hair. Talk about a business opportunity. Selling blue hair dye or pink hair dye. That's a good business model. It's got probably cost fractions of a cent to make. But I partially digress. This comes to us thanks to Libs and TikTok, in which she says, quote, liberal women are now rooting for the cartels over Trump. They're rooting for a terrorist organization over America. Or, as we pronounce it, America. Can't help but always hear that vernacular or that accent when I read that word. Is that just me? No. And even more surprising, she does not have the cow ring. The ring where you have it on the middle of your nose, which I don't know who's telling gals that is attractive these days. Spoiler, it's not. And it's like half the dating profiles out there. It blows my mind and breaks my heart. Like, why? It's like putting a mustache on the Mona Lisa. Like, why would you do that? So I'm actually surprised. She does not have a cow ring or blue hair. This is very unusual. But nevertheless, as soon as you hear what she has to say, it obviously disappoints.
Oh, we might be saved by the most unexpected group of people. Do you know who Trump's trying to declare war on? The cartel. Oh, please do. Please do. Fuck around and find out, Trump. Oh, we might.
Now, she does have those signature leftist crazy eyes, which, that might be a good barometer if you ever open up a club. Be like, all right, let's see your eyes, folks. Then you'll know if they're crazy or not. Now, this went moderately viral, got 500,000 views as well as 13,000 likes, originally posted by Ian Miles Chong. Now, one of the first comments comes from Planet of Memes, but they do not have a meme. A little disappointed there, Planet of Memes. Now, he says, because they don't have a meme, quote, white liberal women will literally promote an agenda which will ultimately result in their own demise, getting 2.6 thousand likes, which, you look at a lot of people who voted to allow, women to, men to compete in women's sports. A lot of the gals were for that, ironically enough. Paul Zazupa also says, quote, this liberal woman has no respect for herself or her fellow Americans. Wishing harm on them is disgusting. Maybe she should be deported, getting 182 likes, which depends on where you deport her to. If you're to deport her to Mexico or, heaven forbid, Canada, the Constitution does have a provision where you cannot, punishment cannot be cruel and unusual. And I would argue deporting someone to, Canada, oh, geez Louise, and Trudeau over there, that very well may fall into that definition of cruel and unusual. You also have Cool Christian Engineer, says, quote, crying in the morning. I'm not sure which cultural pop reference this is to, but it has, I'm definitely going to butcher this assessment. Is it? Not Green Beret. It's a particular uniform that looks like from Vietnam. Military aficionados, please let me know in the comments. In which the meme says, quote, I love the sound of liberals crying in the morning. And that got 116 likes. Cash Lauren also says, send her and the rest of them to Mexico, getting 13 likes. The Waco kid says, quote, I doubt she has any idea of what the cartel would do to her. And you have a kid and a dog praying. It says, Mame, it says, quote, and deliver us from liberal white women. They got 194 likes. You also have Scorch saying, quote, these liberal women are idiotic. And there's a picture of Trump, and it says Trump is right about everything. And that got 237 likes. You also have Trump with a parody of the Dos Equis commercial back before the, white liberal women canceled him for being, too white. You guys said, I don't always do, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis. And it's Trump's face. It says, I don't always win, but when I do, or just kidding, I do. Got 180 likes. Let's see here. Fascinating. A brilliant quote from one of the best books of all time, 1984 by George Orwell. Cannot recommend it enough. It's a quite sad book, especially when you consider how governments are more evil in reality than the book. But nevertheless, there's a quote from Facts from that book. It says, quote, it was always the women, and above all the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of the slogans, the amateur spies. Which, yeah, fascinating how it is quite admirable and impressive how many things George Orwell got right. If you have kids, you want to get them into, actually deep thinking. A great alternative is Animal Farm. Animal Farm is also written by George Orwell. It's about not only is it half the pages, but the spacing of the letters is, lesser or greater. So it's even less words. And the vernacular is much easier for a child to understand. So I recommend starting them on Animal Farm by George Orwell. Again, another exceptionally great novel that has many of the same concepts. Now that got 32 likes. Let's see. Kentucky Girl says, quote, they're picking drug cartels, mass murders over Trump. This level of TDS is crazy, literally in the insanity. Getting 208 likes. Yep. Junita Broderick simply says these people are nuts, getting 1.7 thousand likes. Mary Thomas has a picture of Elon Omar. And he said, he's apparently her saying, I hate Trump. And there's a picture Trump says, most terrorists do, getting 260 likes. So it's fascinating to see the Trump derangement syndrome continue to go in full swirl or full steam ahead, so to say. And we'll see if they ever actually recover. Let's see here. I also have Drake Slayer saying, quote, liberal women grins as she brags about choosing violence against MAGA supporters, which, now she does have, of course, those crazy eyes and glasses befitting a librarian in the 1990s, I would say. Nothing inherently wrong with that. It is unique. I like unique outfits, but then she has a rudimentary tie-dye t-shirt, maybe. Although maybe she will surprise us with her eloquence and brilliance and an articulate reason of why maybe she doesn't agree with the Trump policy, and she might, go peacefully protest with a nice little cardboard sign with some, ideals on it. Probably not. Let's hear what she has to say.
I woke up and chose violence against the Red Hats today. I will wake up and choose violence against the Red Hats every day.
Ironically, she then ends the video with a peace sign, which, yeah, it is ironic. And that got 16 likes. And one more. Josiah James says no Democrat should receive any Doge dividend, getting 89 likes. Referencing that Elon said we actually might get a dividend from that. I'm pretty skeptical, though. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I was thinking, after Trump won the popular vote, maybe more people would come together, but seemingly isn't. Granted, online, so take it with a grain of salt. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think the country will become more divided in the next couple of years, or will we actually become more united? Let me know, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a Denver City Council member wanting to spend their tax dollars on lawyers for illegal migrants, which is an interesting way to choose taxpayer dollars. I can't help but think 99.9% of all taxpayer dollars go to every other country and citizen on the planet except us. And culturally speaking, maybe that's what they like to do in Colorado. You get what you vote for, right? Now this comes to us thanks to, there was a TikTok in which she says, quote, Denver City Council member discussing using U.S. tax dollars to raise the budget for legal defenses to fund and protect criminal illegal aliens. She also gets an F, not Lib's TikTok, this gal, the council member, she also gets an F- from the IT team. I say that because she has about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stickers on her most likely corporate issued laptop, which, yeah, one of the biggest disdains from the IT staff is, for the love of God, don't put that crap on there. Because then they have to spend all day, a disproportionate amount of time scraping off the stickers, getting the goo off. So if you feel inclined to do that crap, buy a cheap laptop case or like a protective cover or clamshell, and then bedazzle it with all the stickers. But yeah, let's just say I feel bad because I know someone in IT is going to spend a lot of time scraping it off. Now, actually, there's a correction here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 9 stickers and 1 asset tag sticker. So one is actually one from the staff where you actually would scan it for an inventory purposes. So I jumped the gun in that regard, though I'd say her outfit is rudimentary at best. So she still gets an F minus overall, which, yeah, there's some glasses that don't look good on anyone. Those are them. I don't know why I have a extra vision for glasses and observation today. Perhaps, ironically, I'm the only member of the family who doesn't have glasses yet. Knock on wood. But without further ado, perhaps she'll justify this with some eloquence and brilliance. Maybe she's talking about an ROI on how these, migrants already have jobs. They're paying a lot of taxes into the system. Maybe she has some exceptional use cases. Probably not, but let's tune on in.
So I want to be clear, the description of this item talks about the need for representation of the city in a congressional inquiry before the U.S. Committee on Government and Reform. And what we know is that the mayor is being asked to go and testify in D.C. in defense of the policies of this city, which were adopted by both the executive and legislative branches of Denver. When the city adopted a comprehensive set of immigration policies in 2016 and 2017, which was under the leadership of now Councilmember Torres and others, we also created a Denver Immigrant Legal Services Fund. And we as a city did that because of the just life-altering impact of immigration proceedings on people who live here and who have often come here as asylum seekers from really horrifying conditions under the general protections of international and U.S. law that say that countries have to take people in those circumstances.
Bullshit. You know what's a big misconception? Everyone says, oh, you just got to claim asylum. Technically speaking, you're supposed to go to the first country next to yours when you're claiming asylum. But they all know this magical term that they used to have Democrats just living in the country, so they would all just claim it. Many of them from countries that aren't really qualifying for that. But again, they're also supposed to go to the first country basically next to them, the first one there, not halfway across the globe to America.
Circumstances. So as of now, immigrants are 10 times more likely to succeed in their case in immigration court when they have representation. But 80% of those who are in detention, in proceedings, who are detained in the Geo Group facility in Aurora are unrepresented. There are also 77,000 pending cases in the federal immigration court here in downtown Denver, most of whom, to my understanding, are people who are not in detention, and most of those people also don't have attorneys. We are tied for last place in the nation as a state in the percentage of people who have legal representation in immigration court at 14%.
Oh, no.
So I'm really proud that we fund the Denver Immigrant Legal Services Fund at about $750,000 per year.
Jesus.
We have another round of that funding that will go out to a multitude of local legal nonprofits in September. It's supplemented by private fundraising. But I also want to be clear that we haven't come anywhere close to meeting the need, and that we can expect the need for legal representation to increase if the federal government insists on detaining people who are here to claim asylum. I am looking at whether we need to increase that budgeted number in 2025 beyond what was budgeted, given the nature of this emergency, given the likelihood of increases in detentions and efforts to deport people who are asylum seekers, really for reasons that are at their heart similar to why we're approving this legal bill for this DC law firm today, which is that we're going to continue to defend our entirely legal local policies, not to do the dirty work of deportation for the federal government, and not to ignore
Dirty work? You mean following the law?
Overarching international human rights law that says that when people are fleeing really abysmal circumstances, they have a right to claim asylum.
Bullshit. They're not supposed to go halfway across the globe. Again, such a BS rudimentary argument. And I thought this would go more viral. It got about 400,000 views and 11,000 likes. Now, that being said, I'm sure a lot of people in Colorado probably agree with her. They probably want their tax dollars to go there. Part of the culture. I mean, Colorado, kind of like California, if it wasn't for the politics and the people, most people, it'd be a beautiful place to live. I mean, they got mountains, snowboarding, skiing. Funny third thing, South Park. I think that's all we know about Colorado. They used to have Magpul, one of the best companies in the world used to be headquartered there, until, again, the liberal policies forced Magpul to relocate their headquarters to the great state of, you guessed it, Texas. Now, this also got 11,000 views, and one of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, "What a waste of tax dollars. It should never be spent defending illegals, only deporting them." Gained 40 likes. Libercat Media TM says, quote, "These people need to be arrested and prosecuted for treason if they go towards using our tax dollars for, quote, legal defense funds for criminal illegals." Gained 50 likes. Libercat Media TM also says, "Why do Democrats love criminals so much?" Gained 53 likes. Good question. Let's see. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see. Rick, student of the world, says, quote, "Aiding and debating illegals is a federal criminal offense. This is U.S. Code 1324A1A. I'm not reading that right. It says, quote, any person who endorses or induces illegal alien to come to enter or reside in the United States, knowingly or in reckless disregard of the fact that such coming to entity or residence is or will be a violation of law, shall be punished and provided, quote, imprisonment no more than 5 years, and a bunch of other consequences. But we'll see. Historically speaking, in the past decade or so, law really has only been applied one way or one side of the political aisle. I mean, Trump's doing a lot of great things. We'll see if the law is actually equally applied. I mean, yeah, she should be in jail, but I doubt it. Same with AOC for what she's doing, and a couple other mayors that are actually giving classes. Elon Omar, she actually is giving a class and telling them how to actively avoid getting deported when they're here illegally. David Sullivan, pronouns prosecute Fauci, says, quote, I'll be glad when Tom Holland starts locking people up for aid and abetting. Getting 452 likes. Isaac simply says, following the footsteps of California, both California and Colorado need federal funding shut down until they stop harboring illegals. Getting 565 likes. 585 likes. Strike that. Good idea. Let's see here. Colette Murphy says maybe someone should show Karen this video about Laken Riley's bereaved mother, which, yeah, another American who's killed by an illegal. That got 262 likes. Rita says, quote, I don't believe they are entitled to a legal defense if deported, but why would you use U.S. tax dollars to defend a criminal illegal? Are Colorado tax-paying voters nuts? Mostly, yeah, getting 118 likes. Dr. Theo also says, classic, fugly, miserable Karen, which, yeah, she is. She's pretty repulsive visually speaking, which is saying something because that's kind of for me. And I'm no, what's a fancy actor, Brad Pitt or something like that. And yeah, she has one of those really weird looking collage dress thingamajigs, like a muumuu, and hair's in a tight bun, which, and then she has the worst pair of glasses I've ever seen. Like Harry Potter glasses, but 3 times as thick. And again, she gets paid a lot of money for basically doing very little. I'm surprised she doesn't pay for LASIK. And again, other frames would make you, for her maybe, but there are other glasses frames out there. I mean, come on now. They got 454 likes. Barbara says this is insanity. WTF happened to Colorado, getting 246 likes. Not a lot of people, not a lot of contrarian comments here. Sean McCall says, quote, what do you think about creating a constitutional amendment that makes it clear that all amendments are in articles of the Constitution apply only to United States citizens, getting 177 likes? An interesting ideal. I don't think that's been floated too many times before. Let's see. So, yeah, we'll see what happens to those states. And again, I don't think it's fair that taxpayers are going to people who don't pay taxes. And by harboring those illegals and, flooding the market, you're also increasing the cost of rent, further stretching because again, everything is finite. There's stretching the resources more when it comes to public resources like firemen, police officers, or it's school teachers, which again, they're not paying into, yet they're utilizing more and more of those resource allocations. So again, we'll see if Colorado does anything different or the culture shifts, and maybe the people, show up in power with a nice Hobby Lobby cardstock posters and say, hey, we don't agree with this. We want our taxpayers going for this. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have useless bureaucrats being fired, going viral on social media, thanks to Elon Musk and Doge getting rid of government employees, which not all, but many are useless and mostly just getting a lot of money to do very little at all. Now, this comes with thanks to Defiant L's on X, in which he says, just going to leave this here. And these are 2 posts by the same gal. Now, her name is called The Blonde Girl, hashtag #OUGirl. Really ridiculous. And in 2024, she said, quote, I didn't have any meetings today, so I've been wearing my jammies all day, but now I have a meeting in 30 minutes, so putting on a hoodie. And eventually that WTF life gonna getcha? So her average day was apparently doing nothing, sitting around, and I'm not sure she's legally an adult, I should clarify that. Perhaps rudimentarily mentally vacuous, because she uses the word like jammies, which I don't know anyone respectable who would use that vernacular. And yeah, her average day is just, hanging out in my pajamas, and I got 1 30-minute meeting. And she's getting paid a full-time job? Now, beautiful, interestingly enough, her update Comes from February 15, 2025. She says, quote, I was terminated from my dream job with the Children's Bureau yesterday due to the federal restructuring executive order, DOGE. I'm unemployed for the first time in 15 years. Since I was 15 years old. Wow. I hope you get your effing cheap eggs. We will eventually, but interestingly enough, last year a lot of chickens were killed because they claimed there's a pandemic or chicken flu or whatever, the bird flu. Imagine your tax dollars paying for that lazy POS's salary for 15 years. If she was the federal employee that long, 15 years. This almost as bad as Elon bought X. You found the gals and a couple guys who were just bragging about taking one meeting a day. And the rest of the day, they're on the Twitter headquarters in the office, drinking champagne and playing games. I can't help but see a lot of parallels between what used to be Twitter and the U.S. government in terms of corruption, ineptitudes, and terrible spending for basically no good results. Now, this went pretty far. Got 21 million views and 29,000 likes. And I can't help but think, when you think of your average federal employee, probably a lot of them are going to be let go because Elon's going to show up and go, oh, what did you, or I'll try Elon's accent. I'll go for it. Might not be great, but say, yes, what would you say you do around here? Which, it's probably the worst accent of the year, but perhaps that's an accolade in and of itself. Because, I can't suspect a lot of those employees, maybe they work like 1 hour a day. Probably not the hardest workers. People join, on average, the federal government for job security. To work there for 38 years doing pretty much nothing, and they get a fat pension. Again, there are outliers. And again, I've had family on both sides of the political aisle, union versus non-union. And again, some of them are good, don't get me wrong. But I can't help but think, majority of them probably like this girl who calls herself that blonde girl. Which, I guess facts are true. She is a blonde girl. Now, going to some top comments, you have Liz Churchill simply saying laughing emoji getting 281 likes. Scrolling down more and more, you got Bow-Tied Queen Bee says, quote, sucks to live in the real world, huh? There's an article that says traumatized U.S. aid worker who survived George bloodbath describes horror of watching everyone get axed. And then at the bottom is a meme of DeFranco guy? But he's about to be hung on the news. It says everyone without cushy government jobs. Because in the movie he does first time or something like that. What is it? Charles DeFranco? He's in the Spider-Man movie once. But nevertheless, I got 2.3 thousand likes. We also have, going down more and more, Kenny Jensen saying, quote, Musk didn't fire you. The American taxpayer did. Getting 899. Let's make it 900 likes. Lee Bobentender says, quote, blondies can A, learn to code, B, learn to apply for a job at the Keystone Pipeline. Karma's a bitch sometimes. Getting 1,000 likes. Marie says, quote, guess she'll have to get out of her jammies and get another job. Dream job for her was suckling off the taxpayer's tits, never leaving her house, and oh, you girl, I take my eggs sunny side up. That's where your new job should be, Waffle House, getting 379 likes, which I would argue is a great insult to the institution of Waffle House. While there might be a copious amounts of tobacco in the air and some inebriated workers, they're 1,000 times better work ethic than this government employee. Perhaps if not 2,000 times more effective and better, because they actually, produce a service and actually give you goods. Whereas let's be honest, most government workers do none of those things. You also have Bruni Berlou saying, quote, I hope for cheap eggs too, but glad to see we won't be wasting any more taxpayer money on paying for you not to work. Getting 915 likes, which, imagine how much money we're going to save just by not paying inept and corrupt people just sit around all day. The savings are going to be huge. Or as Trump would say, huge, the greatest savings of all time. 99.98% of all federal workers are just sitting around watching CNN all day, tweeting around stuff, but not anymore. We really actually need 10 employees in the federal government, and they did everyone's work, which I know you won't be able to reduce it that much, but maybe, 90%? Let's see. Any contrarian comments here? Anyone sticking up for this gal? American Madness says, quote, sounds like what we all knew this was, a meaningless job that wasn't necessary and needed to be axed, getting 645. Let's make it 646 likes. You also have Slight Strider saying, quote, we're never to brag about working from home when primary mission of the Children's Bureau is completely face-to-face work and supervision of foster care and adoption, as well as child abuse prevention. They have the fat gif of Homer Simpson sitting on the couch with a broom, trying to type at a keyboard when he tried to work from home. When back in the day, like the show's theme of that episode was, if you're like 300 pounds, it'd be considered, it shouldn't be, if you cause it because he ate, but a disability, so you can qualify to work from home. And it was a comical thing, back in the 90s to weigh that much. Now it seems to be average, which isn't good. But that got 987 likes. Let's see here. One more. Nick's Dank Memes. You know what? Play on Memes got an F- for this episode. Nick's, you get an A+ because he did, in fact, respond in meme form. He says, quote, I'm enjoying this a little too much. This is a Joker movie. We got the anchor of the TV show saying, quote, let me get this straight. You think thousands of bureaucrats losing their jobs at the same time is funny? And Joker goes, I do, and I'm not, and I'm tired of pretending that it's not. Getting 2.2 thousand likes, which, I thought we could make it 2.3 thousand likes, but nevertheless, I did like it. So yeah, we'll see. And of course, like all true leftists, that girl known as OU Girl, or the blonde girl, sorry, she locked down her profile and it says these posts are protected. Because again, these leftists know that their ideals and their actions are they're all indefensible, so the only way they can exist is by censorship and blocking people, which is why every time there's a leftist that's busted, you see them turn off their accounts, they see them block people. Very similar to how you see some of these big businesses who get in trouble, they'll lock their comments so you can't say anything, which knows how you're the loser. You're indefensible, your actions and what you are. So hopefully we see a lot more of these layoffs and bring down the cost of the U.S. government. Let me know what percentage of the government do you think we can cut and still and actually operate efficiently? I was about to say and still operate, but I mean, at this point, I would say we're not really operating at all. I mean, to get an NFA item, it was taking between 6 and 9 months if you want to get a suppressor, if you want to go through a trust. And again, it's electronic now. You submit it online, you pay them $200 extortion tax, thanks to the 1934 NFA Act, and it's still taking 6 to 9 months to get paper back. That's ridiculous. There's no reason that shouldn't take more than 18 seconds with a regular background check, but they have to, all the NFA crap. And you have to involve the U.S. Treasury Department. And it takes months. And it used to take almost a year. It's just, I think it's also corruption because they don't want you to have fun toys, but that's just me. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments, because it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the Los Angeles mayor, Ms. Bass, investigating why no one told her not to go on vacation to Ghana, Africa. Which, yeah, why didn't they tell me not to go on vacation? Well, how should I know that I need to stay where I am and do my job? Which is oddly reminiscent to Ted Cruz leaving during the Ice-Mageddon, but yeah, he got roasted. He's still in politics, though, and he actually did some good. Now, a lot of people blame ERCOT, but another topic for another time, perhaps. But let's just say Ted Cruz's mistakes weren't so bad where he hired all DEI firemen, turned out to be lesbians, but they forgot you need water to put out fires. That's how bad California is mismanaged. And yet they still keep voting for Gavin Newsom and Miss Bass, which blows my mind, but there are also people who, quote, vote blue no matter who. Now, this comes with thanks to End Wokeness. And he says, quote, Los Angeles Mayor Bass is investigating why no one told her not to go on vacation to Ghana, which a weird place to go on vacation as well. And this is according to Fox 11, which somehow still in business. I'm actually pretty shocked these companies still have enough money to actually afford a camera these days. Though, to the interview's credit, he did suit up as all men should. And I guess she did too.
When I talked about it with the fire chief, what she said is that we have warnings of Santa Ana winds a lot, but predicting this, and you saw, from the city, from the county, that level of preparation really didn't happen. So it didn't reach that level to me to say something terrible could happen and maybe you shouldn't have gone on the trip.
Why didn't it happen?
But to me, I don't know. I mean, I think that that's one of the things we need to look at. So 2 investigations are taking place. One internal to the city, and that's the Fire Commission, because that's mandated by the city charter. So the commission will hire an outside entity to examine everything, the pre-deployment, why were firefighters sent home, all of that should have taken place that didn't. And then also the governor has contracted with the Fire Safety Research Institute, which is a national institute that investigated what happened in the fires in Maui. So everything that happened, including that, needs to be examined. But I will tell you that I felt absolutely terrible not being here for my city and not being here for my family, who was impacted by the fires as well. And so when I say it was a mistake, absolutely, the idea that I was not present was very painful.
Why do all leftists look like they're bad guys from like a Batman movie? And again, I don't have much ground to stand on. I'm no Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever. But yeah, why do they always look like they're like an evil Batman villain? For those who perhaps are blessed, but because they're not watching this on the YouTube or Rumble, Mayor Bass has very short curly hair, okay glasses, wearing a tan, like a teal suit, weird color, and a creepy smile, almost as creepy as Kamala Harris, dare I say? And yeah, why didn't people tell me not to go on vacation to halfway across the globe? Like, really? It's like the most mismanaged state on the planet, I would argue, is California. They forgot, oh yeah, you need water to fight fires? You probably should have water in the water reservoirs. I mean, water is quite literally in the title of the facility, water reservoirs. I mean, one would think you'd have water in there. Or firemen, well, in this case they didn't, but they had lady fire chiefs who said, if a guy gets stuck in a fire, it's his fault. I don't know how that person still has a job, but again, you get what you vote for. Now, this didn't go as viral as I thought. It got about 130,000 views and 2.7 thousand likes. One of the first comments comes from Cool Christian Engineer who says, quote, the only way you can stop him is a AI-generated picture of Gavin Newsom and Miss Bass, and they're holding up a sign. Well, they're standing in front of a Hollywood sign that's on fire, and the sign that they're holding up says, fire us, getting 43 likes, which I don't think they will. Again, California, every year it seems to get a little bit worse. They lose, the biggest businesses are leaving, a lot of people are leaving. No matter what, people literally die crapping the streets in San Francisco. So many people, they created a poop app so you could walk around it, but there's such a high frequency of defecation, the whole map is brown. It is the most mismanaged state in the union, and yet they keep getting reelected. So like they say, fire us. I venture to say I don't think they'll ever be fired. Again, a lot of people vote blue no matter who. There are some Republicans who do that, don't get me wrong, but they don't make a mantra about it and worship it. I can't help but think it's a much lesser statistical percentage or as a whole. Now, Gunther Eagleman says, quote, more Bass needs to resign in disgrace. I don't know why I said more. More Bass? Is that her first name? I mean, she's as attractive as Lori Lightfoot, I'll give her that. And is mentally vacuous. Cash Loren says these commies never take responsibility for the actions, getting 22 likes. Let's see here. What's this? Someone by name. And a lot of you might be wondering, how much is she making? Now, this is from Grok, or AI from Twitter, and say, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass earns an annual salary of approximately between $300,000 and $311,879 based on available data up to February 19th, 2025. Public records in 2023 indicate her salary was $311,879 as reported by Gov Salaries. Which, can't but think there's also healthcare benefits and other stuff on top of that, and maybe a pension. Over $250,000 to be the mayor of Los Angeles, and yeah, another example of government employees getting paid regardless of results. Now, you also have I Love American News saying, quote, Bass is a communist. She took 15 trips to Cuba. And Robbie Starbuck did a tweet. This is a screenshot there. It says, quote, a Democrat mayor of LA, Karen Bass, was a literal communist organizer who visited Cuba at least 15 times before she ran for office. On those trips, members of the groups she was on got trained to be terrorists. Some became bombers. Karen Bass became an elected Democrat. Evil. Getting 54 likes, which, yeah, I've had one or two friends who've gone to Cuba throughout the years, mostly for the cigars. But, yeah, I was going to say 15 times. That's pretty unusual. Scrolling down more and more. You have Chaotic Genius saying, quote, Rome burned while Nero played a fiddle. Los Angeles burned while Karen Bass took a vacation. But don't worry, she's launching an investigation to find someone else to blame. Getting 54 likes. Yeah. Old School Eddie says, quote, I don't understand how people like her get elected. Do they take courses on defending blame and gaslighting to get elected in California? Getting 41 likes, which, yeah, probably. Again, a lot of people, and Republicans there's a couple Republican voters who do this too. They see a ballot, they'll just go, oh, that's got an R next to it? All right. It's got a D next to it? Yeah, I'll vote for it. I mean, there's a lot, I'm a little concerned. There's a lot of low intellect voters out there, or a lot of people don't do any research. A lot of people just vote party lines, which, I mean, especially if there are so many rhinos, you definitely can't do that if you're a Republican. You have to research them because there's a lot of rhinos out there. Jared March says she's a joke. There's a picture of her juxtapositioned with the AI picture of her as a Joker, I think. Or are those just two of the same picture? It's hard to tell. It did get 10 likes, though. Where's Batman? Let's see. You also have Lynn Wallace saying, quote, Karen Bass used a very effective ploy of avoiding responsibility. She said, quote, no one told me not to. Getting 16 likes, which, yeah, it's a very childish argument. But, again, it'll probably work. People will still vote for her. Let's see. Sputnik says, quote, she already made a post about how there's a wildfire danger before she even left. This is just another lie. Getting 19 likes. Interesting. You also allowed the brush in the forest to actually build up. I believe it's the eucalyptus tree. It's an invasive species in California where there's very high oil content. They're extremely flammable. And one of the reasons why California has all these wildfires is they don't do their jobs. Well, a lot of government employees, but they actually don't take care of the forest. So you have extra flammable material on the forest floor, just collecting there more and more and more. So when there's a fire, it grows exponentially. So we'll see if there's any political ramifications for Karen Bass, if they actually vote for someone else. But I'm pretty pessimistic. I don't even think she'll be. I don't think she'll be primary next time. Probably just get reelected. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you had to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Target recalling one of their dinosaurs because it might burst into flames, which, it's not great news for a kid's toy. Whoopsies. Now, this comes to us thanks to the United States Consumer Safety Product Commission, in which they say, quote, Target recalls Spears, interesting name, SPIRZ, resin Hanukkah dinosaur menorahs due to fire hazard. Oy vey, it's not good. And, which, again, I'm not Catholic, but I do have some Jewish friends. I need to ask them. I'm pretty sure, though not entirely 100% sure, I don't think there's a dinosaur way back in the day. I remember there's a Rugrats special where they talk about Hanukkah. I'm pretty sure they didn't have dinosaurs back then in those stories. And yet they have a dinosaur-themed menorah, which, yeah, oy vey. Now, looks like it's an okay-looking dinosaur. It's blue, which I guess they have blue dinosaurs too, maybe. And there you can see they've got little spots where all the little candles go in. Now, they say, quote, this recall involves the Spirits Taper Raisin Hanukkah Dino Menorah, which, geez Louise, bad marketing. That's a long name. Can't build it. And there's no hat? Oh, come on. That's F- marketing. It's a menorah dinosaur, and they don't have one of those funny, cute. They don't have one of those cute hats. Who isn't? That's a poorly designed. That's a poorly designed child menorah. I mean, of all the things to make the religion more cute and appealing, you would think that there would be a little hat on the dinosaur for the kids to like, or even more brilliantly, well, maybe not because it'd be flammable, like a little cloth when you put on the dinosaur. How is that not a thing? Maybe we're better at marketing than Target is. But nevertheless, they say, quote, the menorah are blue, made of polymer resin, and measure 6 inches by 13 inches long. They can hold up to 9 tapered candles in the metallic candle cups located in the dinosaur's back. The model number is, again, there's a model number for a dinosaur, kind of funny, 240-14-1380. Again, the model number is 240-14-1380. And they note that it's printed on the product's hang tag located around the dinosaur's neck. They say the remedy is consumers should immediately stop using the recalled menorah and return them to any Target location for a full refund in the form of a Target gift card or refund in the original form of payment. Consumers may also contact Target to receive a prepaid return label to return the menorah by mail. Now, unfortunately, it's already been some incidents, but thankfully, no one got hurt. They say that, quote, Target has received 58 reports of menorahs scorching, charring, melting, or catching fire. Jeez Louise. However, no injuries have been reported as of yet. So, again, they're kind of getting ahead of the situation. Could be a lot worse, so silver lining there. They note these are sold at Target stores nationwide and online at Target.com from between October 2024 and January 2025 for about $15. Oy vey. I don't know, it looks like a $10 dinosaur to me, but I'm pretty frugal myself. Now, they know that these were manufactured, of course, in China. And the recall number, if you want to call up Target, is 25-133. Again, 25-133 is the recall number. And again, some products, I don't know who's in charge of quality assurance. That's supposed to be a big department of most manufacturers, especially when, again, your product involves fire. You literally put candles in it. And again, I don't know why it bugs me. How does that not have a cute hat? That's just, again, that's extra insult to injury. But yeah, the fact that you have a product that's designed to hold candles that can't do the one thing it's designed to do, and it's also religious affiliated, so you're supposed to associate this with good warm memories, the families around the menorah. Yeah, gotta say it's a double whammy. That is Target, your flaming menorah. Gotta say that's certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. First live stream, again, is going to be Q&A live stream. It's going to be tomorrow, February 22nd at 6 p.m. Texas time, or some people call it 6 p.m. Central time. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.